Congratulations on this very real achievement. How do you feel about having the longest run ever in the land of theatre?
Well, naturally, I think it's wonderful.
Have you ever met a real criminal?
Maybe. But I don't know if so.
That was a rare interview of Agatha Christie from 1958. She didn't grant many interviews, but her work barely needs an introduction. Christie is third all-time in terms of books sold, an estimated 2 billion copies. The only things ahead of her, the Bible and the works of William Shakespeare. But as people continue reading her mysteries today, many have forgotten about the biggest mystery in Christie's own life, a sensational disappearance that took place not long after World War I. That disappearance is the focus of a new novel by Marie Benedict. Jeff Glor sat down with her.
The person that she became on the other side of this disappearance is very different than the person who started out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Agatha Christie.
The mystery began on a Saturday night in December 1926. Agatha Christie, then an up-and-coming writer at 36, suddenly went missing from her home in England.
When I did some digging and I learned that she actually disappeared for 11 days in circumstances that seemed torn from the pages of one of her own novels, I became a little bit obsessed.
Marie Benedict has been uncovering and writing stories about famous women in history for years, including Albert Einstein's first wife, Mileva Maric, Clementine Churchill, and actress Hedy Lamarr. Now it's Christie.
She really had to buck against what the expectations for women of her time period were to kind of rise up and seize her legacy and her talents. But it came at a huge cost.
I'm just going away, Jane. I'll give you a message tomorrow as to where I am.
Christie's disappearance was turned into a movie with Vanessa Redgrave and Dustin Hoffman in 1979.
Which one was Agatha Christie? Is that her with the fur around her neck?
But it's never received a book treatment like this. Benedict's The Mystery of Mrs. Christie is told in alternating chapters. One part of the story focuses on the author's background, how she became the most famous mystery writer of all time. The other part imagines what happened over the course of her disappearance, told through the perspective of her unfaithful husband, a former World War I pilot named Archie Christie.
Her husband, they married during World War I when Agatha was serving, actually, in the war. Very rare for girls of her class. She was a nurse, and then she worked in a pharmacy, which is where she gathered her knowledge of poisons, which she put to use later. And when he emerged from the war, in many ways, he was a very different person than he had started out.
Benedict believes Archie Christie may have suffered from a case of PTSD. Whatever the circumstances, the strain that developed in the Christie marriage came to a head in 1926. Christie was gone, and no one knew where. Thousands volunteered for a search, and lakes were dragged, as headlines were splashed across newspapers worldwide.
You think this window and the drama that played out helped launch her onto the next level?
Right. When she disappeared, she wasn't the Agatha Christie that we think of today. She was well established, but not well known. But by the end of this disappearance, she was on a completely different trajectory, and she really had become a household name.
On December 15th, 1926, Agatha Christie was finally found at the Harrogate Spa, more than 200 miles north of where she lived outside London.
I would like to book a room.
She was checked in under the name of Mrs. Neal, the surname of her husband's mistress.
Teresa Neal.
So what happened over those 11 days? No one knows exactly. Christie pleaded amnesia and never spoke about the episode again, even after she and Archie divorced a little more than a year later, even until she died in 1976. Benedict's book blends facts with fiction, meant to fill in the blanks.
I just couldn't help but think that a woman this brilliant, this masterful at the art of plotting and creating masks behind which her characters hide, how could she be a victim in her own vanishing, right? So that kind of idea and that my understanding of who she was really permeated the world I created of her disappearance.
The Agatha Christie who emerged after the 11-day episode was far more reclusive. Interviews were few and far between.
Why are you so fascinated by crime?
I don't know that I'm very fascinated by it. I've just begun writing about it, and then one continues, doesn't one, usually?
You know, the story that I've told, she may not want to be known, but if she were to somehow cycle back and actually take a look at it, I hope she would see that it's really an homage to her intellect, to her perseverance, to her ambition. And what kind of came out the other end of this, really the pivotal event in her life, I think, was a stronger, more resilient woman and writer.
Wow, brilliant, masterful, and apparently she was a surfer back then.
Yeah, I mean, and I had no idea about this part of her story. It kind of makes you wonder, if that happened today, would there not be that mystery people might know? Well, this is actually where she was that whole time, but we'll never know.
The unsolved mystery, the queen of mystery.
That's right.
Or maybe we solve it if we read the book.
That's right. Well, there you go.